Fundamentally, I think there are three ways to read this book. The first way is to follow Bap. That means to adopt his vision, however you understand it, as your own. Life, freedom, strength, the struggle for space, self-overcoming, force, possession, abandon, all of that, or as much of it as you can bear. Maybe you stop at this advice. Don't be lame. Learn to make videos and photos. His words. Maybe you become a political prankster, as he writes. Or maybe you get some friends and, quote, never stop studying or working together. Presumably in all of this, you're doing what you can to, quote, discredit the enemy and expose his authoritarianism, his stupidity, his slavishness, and his corruption, while finding your own way to embody and to worship fire. So that's one way to follow Bap. The second way is to acknowledge his influence, importance, and intelligence, but to wonder, as some insightful commentators have done, especially Michael Anton and Elijah Del Megiddo over at American Mind, where there are some good essays on this book, to wonder whether Bap's misunderstanding of the American founding or undervaluing of Socratic questioning into the nature of justice discredits his project. Who among East or West Coast Straussians, at the extremes, for instance, could endorse to themselves or to anyone else the desirability of the underworld frisson Bap describes when, on a late summer night, you're asked by a corrupt lawyer to spy on a Lebanese strip club owner, and you're out in the courtyard with a 20-year-old prosty. She put cocaine on your tongue, and you feel the ocean air at night fill you with the longing of the great sea. Well, that's not really a Straussian cup of tea, is it? So they might as well endorse Hakim Bey or Charles Bukowski. In general, the metaphysics of pimps, hookers, and thieves belongs somewhere else. I laughed, as anyone who has read this book probably laughed, at some of the jokes. My personal favorite was his commentary on Larry David's struggle against the oppression of the service industry. But beyond whatever compliments can be paid to the book and its author, this second way is absolutely compelled to transcend it in the direction of a more decent alternative, rightfully so. Now, the third way, neither an embrace nor a rejection of Bap's project, is the one that I tried to indicate earlier through my remarks on Heidegger. We are faced with the question, what is man? Or who is man? The more so if we have recoiled from the ugliness of what today can pass as man. Both Bap and his moderate Socratic and Straussian critics have something like an answer, but in both cases, it's premised, non-trivially, on a rejection of Heidegger. Heidegger saw Nietzsche as the final philosopher at the end of metaphysics. To the extent to which he's Nietzschean in spirit, as he's commonly and plausibly thought to be, Bap presents us with the all-important question whether his project amounts to a continuation of the metaphysical understanding of man, itself for Heidegger the decisive obstacle to a genuine overcoming of our present distress. The Socratic and Straussian response, premised as it is on Strauss's supposed resolution of the conflict between nature and history, does not wage an adequate confrontation with Heidegger. Dugin, by the way, whose Eurasianism Bap mentions in passing as one among a number of dork ideological constructs, his phrase, that his followers should not discuss in public, Dugin is worth putting into conversation with Bap's project, not primarily because of their implicit dispute over traditionalism or their mutual sympathy for Nietzsche, but because while both of them understand modernity precisely and explicitly as an expression of the eternally possible rule of Cybele, they fall on opposite sides of the crucial philosophical question concerning Heidegger's significance.